My life took a significant turn when my parents divorced. I was only 7, just Jessica Thompson, living a typical childhood in a cozy home with my mom and dad. I cherish the memories of those early years: simple family dinners, weekend park visits, and bedtime stories read by both parents. Everything shifted with their separation. Dad moved out, but generously left us the house and ensured our financial security. His alimony payments were ample, allowing Mom to remain a homemaker, a situation she seemed quite content with. About a year later, Mom met Steve. Initially, he appeared pleasant, always arriving with sweets and making an effort to amuse me. Their marriage followed swiftly, and soon after, my half-sister Cindy was born. That marked a turning point. Steve's demeanor towards me changed, subtle at first, filled with looks that suggested I was an inconvenience. He'd make small remarks when Mom wasn't around, like, "Don't you miss your dad?" Or, "Wouldn't you rather live with him?" At 12, I overheard a conversation that altered everything. Steve's voice, hushed but firm, spoke of a promotion and a near doubling of his salary. He told Mom she wouldn't need my father's child support anymore. Mom hesitated, but agreed, mentioning that I would be better off with my father and that it would be nice to focus solely on Cindy. The ease with which she consented will forever be etched in my memory. Standing there, unseen, I stifled a gasp. The glass of water I'd fetched forgotten. My own mother was relinquishing me because I was no longer financially necessary. Looking back, I often wonder if they realized I'd overheard them. Mom presented my move to Dad's as a beneficial opportunity, claiming I'd have more advantages there. It was a thinly veiled excuse for discarding me. Dad, however, embraced me wholeheartedly. He'd prepared a room in his apartment, painting it my favorite color and stocking the bookshelves with my beloved book series. That first night, he sat on my bed and apologized for the circumstances, assuring me I would always have a home with him. His words became my lifeline. While Mom focused on her new family, her contact limited to obligatory holiday calls, Dad was my constant. He attended every school play and parent-teacher conference, consoled me after my first heartbreak, and ensured I received a quality private education. He nurtured my interests and never treated me as a burden. During the college application process, he tirelessly helped me refine essays and research universities. The joy in his eyes upon receiving my Princeton acceptance letter remains vivid. College was costly, but Dad never faltered, emphasizing that my education was his top priority. Those 4 years passed quickly, and I graduated with honors, securing a position at a prestigious consulting firm. I rented a comfortable apartment downtown, near Dad's. We maintained our Sunday dinner tradition, discussing my work, sharing stories, and sometimes just enjoying each other's company in comfortable silence, watching old movies. Life was fulfilling until the devastating diagnosis arrived: stage 4 pancreatic cancer, with a prognosis of 6 months. He only lasted 4. Losing him at 28 was shattering. I took a leave of absence to be with him during his final days. One evening, he held my hand and whispered, "You were the best thing in my life, Jessica. Never forget that." After his passing, I discovered he'd left me everything: his apartment and $700,000 in savings. The money was insignificant. I just missed my dad. A month later, Mom called, expressing condolences over Dad's death and revealing Steve's recent passing from a heart attack. She'd been thinking of me, she said. Perhaps grief made me susceptible, or maybe I hoped people could change, but I agreed to meet for coffee. One coffee led to regular visits. I reconnected with Cindy, now 21, and navigating the job market. Mom worked as a cashier, a stark contrast to her earlier life. I shared details of my life, my travels, weekend getaways, European vacations, always bringing gifts, designer clothes for Cindy, fine perfumes for Mom, small luxuries they couldn't afford. Sharing my success with my mom and Cindy became a routine. I felt obligated to arrive at their house with gifts, even for short visits. A quick stop at the mall became customary before seeing them. Cindy particularly loved the European clothing. Her eyes would sparkle as I unpacked designer pieces from my suitcase. Initially, I relished their reactions, perhaps seeking the affection I'd missed out on. I carefully selected items I thought they'd appreciate. A cashmere sweater for Mom, a leather handbag for Cindy. Then, I decided to ask what they truly desired. Mom demurred, suggesting new towels from Target. Cindy, equally hesitant, mentioned drugstore makeup. However, a shift occurred. Their requests escalated, becoming more frequent and extravagant. Mom progressed from towels to texting me extensive shopping lists, requesting Gucci bags from Milan and Prada winter clothes. Grocery requests were also included. The lists grew, becoming more demanding, encompassing not just luxuries but also basic necessities. One evening, after receiving another lengthy list, I reached my limit. I drove to their house, ready for a serious discussion. I addressed the escalating requests, and Mom shifted uncomfortably. Cindy dismissed my concerns, pointing out my affluence and accusing me of hoarding my wealth while my family struggled. She highlighted my apartment, travels, and inability to help them financially, emphasizing that Dad had left me a substantial inheritance. I retorted that the money came from the parent who truly cared for me, the one who hadn't discarded me when I became inconvenient. Silence descended. I declared that the money was mine to manage. Cindy's parting words were accusatory. I left, slamming the door. A month of silence followed. Part of me felt hurt, another part relieved. Then, Mom called, requesting my presence for an important discussion. Her tone conveyed worry. Despite our recent conflict, I drove to their house. Mom, looking subdued, sat at the kitchen table with a surprisingly serious Cindy beside her. Mom revealed her doctor's diagnosis, a severe knee requiring immediate surgery. Without it, she risked disability and unemployment. She explained that the top specialist was in Arizona, but the procedure, hospital stay, and rehabilitation would cost $70,000. I was taken aback. She added that Cindy would accompany her for recovery support, with the entire process lasting about a month. Memories of Dad's final months resurfaced, the hospital, the machines, the helplessness. I couldn't bear to witness that again. I agreed to help, offering $35,000 up front and the remaining half upon receiving the hospital bill. Mom's face fell, insisting on the full amount up front. I reiterated my offer. She began to argue, but Cindy intervened. They exchanged a look, and Mom suddenly agreed to call the hospital, returning moments later with confirmation that payment in 2 installments was acceptable. The following days were a flurry of activity. I transferred the initial $35,000. A week later, I drove them to the airport. A few days after Mom and Cindy settled in Arizona, I received a call from Cindy. "Jess," she began, her voice strained, "there's been a complication." After Cindy's departure, I settled into my home office to review some paperwork. My phone vibrated, and a smile touched my lips when I saw the name. Rachel Martinez. Rachel, my closest friend since elementary school, someone I'd known since we were 6 years old. Although we primarily connected through social media after I moved in with my dad, we'd recently rekindled our friendship, enjoying coffee dates and reclaiming lost time. "Hey, Ratch, what's up?" I answered. Her voice carried an unusual tone. "Jess, I have to ask you something strange. Do you know if your mom and sister are in Europe?" I chuckled, assuming it was a joke. "What?" "No, they're in Arizona. Mom's having surgery." "Yeah, that's what I thought too," Rachel replied, pausing. "But my sister just showed me these pictures Cindy sent her, and well, they're definitely not in Arizona." My phone chimed with incoming messages. With each photograph that appeared, I felt a pang in my stomach. There was Mom, looking perfectly healthy, posing by the Trevi fountain. There was Cindy, snapping selfies outside designer boutiques in Rome. There was Mom's sister, Angela, and her daughter, Emma, relaxing by a private pool at what appeared to be a lavish villa. Every picture was time-stamped with yesterday's date, clearly displayed. "There's more," Rachel said hesitantly. "My sister said Cindy's been boasting about the whole trip. Apparently your mom purchased one-way tickets for everyone. Herself, Cindy, your Aunt Angela, and your cousin Emma. They've leased a luxurious villa for a month and are splurging at high-end shops and dining in extravagant restaurants." I stared at a picture of my mother, my supposedly surgery-bound mother, savoring wine at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Italian countryside. The $35,000 I had given her for medical costs was financing a European getaway. I tossed and turned all night, replaying the images in my mind. How could they deceive me like this? How could they lie so blatantly, exploiting my worry about Mom's health? They had manipulated me, using my memories of Dad's illness to trick me into giving them money. The following morning, I phoned Mom. My hands trembled so violently that I could barely hold the phone. "How did the surgery go?" I inquired, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Oh, it was a complete success. The doctor said everything went perfectly. I'm already starting rehabilitation." I gripped the edge of my desk, my knuckles whitening. The casual manner in which she lied made me nauseous. "That's wonderful," I replied, my voice laced with barely suppressed fury. "I'd love to speak with your doctor about the procedure. Could you put him on?" There was a brief silence. "Oh, he's extremely busy right now, sweetie. Besides, there's no need to disturb him. Look, I have to go. They're calling me for physical therapy." The line disconnected before I could respond. I sat staring at my phone, a flood of memories overwhelming me. Mom relinquishing custody of me at 12 because she no longer needed Dad's money. Mom only contacting me after Dad's death and inheritance. Mom sending me shopping lists, anticipating I'd fund her lifestyle. And now this, the ultimate act of betrayal. I opted to play along with their charade, calling Mom daily to inquire about her recuperation. Each time, she had a fresh excuse. "The doctor's in surgery right now, honey. He's at a conference today. He's off duty until tomorrow." It resembled a poorly executed play where the actor consistently forgot their lines and improvised new ones. I began documenting her excuses, partly out of anger, partly out of disbelief at their escalating absurdity. "Mom," I said during one call, feigning concern, "maybe we could video chat. I just want to see how you're doing. Make sure you're comfortable in the hospital." There was a shuffling sound on the other end, likely her muffling the phone while conferring with Cindy about what to say. "Oh, sweetie, I look dreadful right now, all swollen and bruised. Plus, the hospital Wi-Fi is terrible. It keeps cutting out." Faint Italian pop music played in the background. "Really?" I pressed. "That's odd for a top medical facility." "Well, you know how these things are," she said hastily. "Listen, I need to go. Time for my physical therapy." The next time I called, I decided on a different tactic. "Mom, just send me the hospital bill directly. I'll wire the remaining $35,000 to their account." "No," she said too quickly, too forcefully, then softening her tone. "I mean, that's not necessary. Just send it to my account, and I'll handle everything with the hospital. They know me here now." After that conversation, I ceased calling, letting them stew for a bit. Sure enough, a week later, Mom's number flashed on my screen. I watched it ring, picturing her increasing panic as she realized the money might not be forthcoming. Then came the text, "Jessica, the hospital is demanding payment immediately. They're threatening to send the bill to collections. Please, we need the money right away." I delayed my response, waiting several hours before typing, "No problem. Just forward me the bill from the hospital, and I'll take care of it immediately." Silence ensued. 3 days of it. I knew they were scrambling, trying to devise a solution. Then an email arrived. An email landed in my inbox with the subject, "Urgent hospital bill attached." I opened the attachment and nearly burst out laughing. They hadn't even bothered to make it remotely believable. The letterhead was blurred, obviously copied from another document. The date was 6 months old. The hospital's address listed California instead of Arizona. And most glaringly, the payment details section indicated Mom's personal bank account. I stared at the pathetic forgery, a mixture of amusement and profound sadness washing over me. I took a picture of a stack of $100 bills I'd withdrawn earlier that week, arranging them in a fan shape on my desk. "Got your bill," I replied, attaching the photo. "Sending you the money." My finger hovered over the send button for a beat before I pressed it. Game on, Mom, I thought. Let's see what story you concoct next. My phone rang less than an hour later. Mom's name illuminated the screen, and I took a deep breath before answering. "Jessica!" Her voice was shrill, laced with panic. "What's going on? Where's the rest of the money? We've been waiting." "Drop the act, Mom," I interrupted, my voice icy. "I know precisely where you are, and it's not a hospital." "What are you talking about?" "You're in Italy, at a villa, indulging in designer shopping sprees and extravagant dinners with Cindy, Aunt Angela, and Emma." The line went silent. I could practically hear her mind racing, trying to fabricate a plausible explanation. "How did you—" she began. "Cindy sent photos to Rachel's sister, who showed them to Rachel, who then sent them to me," I stated. "Did you honestly believe I wouldn't discover the truth? I've seen everything. The villa, the shopping excursions, all of it. You exploited my father's death, my grief and guilt over not being able to save him, to swindle me out of money for a vacation." Another pause, and then her tone shifted. The feigned concern vanished, replaced by defensive indignation. "Fine. Yes, we're in Italy. I knew you'd never give us money for a holiday, but why shouldn't we enjoy some travel too? You're constantly jetting off to Paris, London, New York, while Cindy and I can barely afford groceries. That's not fair." "Not fair?" My voice trembled. "Not fair is being 12 years old and overhearing your mother trade you away because she no longer needed your father's money. Not fair is having that same mother reappear 16 years later, not because she misses you, but because your father passed away and left you an inheritance." "We can discuss all that later," she said hurriedly. "Right now, we have a serious problem. We don't have funds for tickets home, and we still owe money on the villa rental. Everyone needs to return to work. We can't lose our jobs. Please, Jessica, we need that other $35,000. In that instant, everything became crystal clear. Nothing had changed. She was still the same woman who discarded me when I became a financial burden. Only now she wanted me back, or rather, she wanted my money back. "That's your problem, not mine," I said flatly. "Goodbye, Mom." I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Then, I systematically blocked them on every social media platform, every messaging app, every conceivable avenue they could use to contact me. Mom, Cindy, Aunt Angela, everyone complicit in this scheme. Sitting in the quiet of my apartment, the apartment Dad left me, I felt a shift within me. The last vestiges of hope that my mother might genuinely care about me, might actually desire a relationship with her daughter rather than her daughter's money, finally extinguished. 2 weeks after I severed all contact, my grandmother phoned. I almost didn't answer, but Grandma had always been different from Mom, more honest, more sincere. "Jessica, honey," she said, her voice filled with worry, "your mother called me. She says she needs $115,000 urgently. I don't have that kind of money, but I thought maybe you—" "Grandma," I said gently, "let me tell you what really happened." I recounted the entire ordeal, the fabricated surgery, the Italian escapade, the ploy to extort my money. With each detail, I heard her sighs grow heavier. "Oh, Jessica," she said finally, "I'm so sorry. I had no idea Sarah would do something like this." "Don't worry about them, Grandma," I reassured her. "They created this mess. They can find their own way out." As it turned out, I didn't have to wait long to learn how they managed. Rachel called a few days later. "Have you seen what Cindy's doing on social media?" she asked. I hadn't, since I'd blocked them everywhere. Rachel filled me in. "She's running this fundraiser, claiming her wealthy sister abandoned them in Italy without money to return home. She's portraying you as this heartless rich person who left her poor family stranded in a foreign country." I felt a familiar surge of anger, but this time it was mingled with amusement. "How's that working out for them?" I inquired. "Well," Rachel said, "they spent nearly 2 weeks trying to raise the money. They had to sell all those designer clothes and bags they bought. Apparently, the villa owner was threatening to involve the police because they couldn't pay the rent. And get this, they all almost lost their jobs because they overstayed their approved vacation time by a significant margin." I shook my head, marveling at how their grand European adventure had backfired so spectacularly. A month later, Grandma called again with an update. "They're finally back," she said. "But Jessica, it's a disaster. It's a mess. Your Aunt Angela isn't speaking to your mother anymore. Apparently, Sarah demanded she contribute to the cost of the trip after everything fell apart, and they had a dreadful argument. She and I also had a terrible row because I couldn't give her money for tickets home. She actually accused me of choosing you over her. I'm sorry you got dragged into this, Grandma. Don't be, sweetheart. Sometimes people need to face the repercussions of their actions." After we disconnected, I strolled to the window of my apartment, Dad's apartment, and gazed at the cityscape. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. On my desk, a stack of travel brochures awaited. I was planning my next adventure, this time to Greece. The former me might have been plagued by guilt about traveling while Mom and Cindy struggled. The former me might have invited them along, attempted one last time to forge the relationship I'd always yearned for. But that version of me was gone, replaced by someone stronger, someone who finally grasped that some relationships are beyond repair. Dad's final words to me in the hospital resonated in my mind. "You were the best thing in my life, Jessica. Never forget that." I hadn't forgotten, and I finally realized I'd been fortunate. Fortunate to have had one parent who truly cherished me, who prioritized me, who instilled in me a sense of self-worth. Mom and Cindy could cling to their schemes and manipulations. I had my father's love, his legacy, and most importantly, my self-respect. These days, my life is tranquil. I travel whenever I desire, dedicate myself to my work, and cherish time with friends who value me for who I am, not what I can offer them. Occasionally, I receive snippets of news about Mom and Cindy through Grandma. They're still struggling, still playing the victim, still searching for their next target. But their drama no longer affects me. It rolls off me like water off a duck's back. Their choices, their consequences. I finally found peace, and I'm embracing it.